Entering Sunday Night Football, Kansas City was 0-2. Their defense finally looked a little bit better against the Eagles, but still, when it came down to it, made too many mistakes. And this game, Steve Spagnuolo talked about in press conferences before the game, talking about how the Chiefs had never went into New York and beaten his former team, right? He won a ring with the New York Giants, but this was a game that identified exactly who Steve Spagnuolo is, why we have to wait for sometimes a little bit longer than we want to see what this Chiefs defense is going to look like. And at the end of the day, they knew Russell Wilson back in and out, exactly what he wanted to do. And this was an emblematic performance of the Kansas City Chiefs defense against a quarterback who threw for over 400 yards against the Dallas Cowboys defense. Not a well-run defense at this point in time. But what you see right here is a lot of shifting, a lot of changing. You guys, welcome in to the RGR Football channel. My name is Daniel Harms, senior film analyst, and we are talking about the Chiefs defense against the New York Giants. A little bit of what we know Steve Spagnuolo to be, how they managed Malik Neighbors, and then came away with a couple big interceptions as well as some sacks that they desperately needed. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that sub button right now, become a member, and then hopefully I can earn a like from you guys as we get through the tape right here. What I want you guys to notice really quickly on this part of the tape is Omar Norman Lott playing more one tech. You played some zero, you played some one. They filtered in Charles Omenihu at a zero tech as well. It was very interesting to see some of the personnel usages from this game, but they also moved guys around, right? Let's go back to the very beginning of this play where you've got 5 down, right? You've got 1 here and then 2, 3 linebackers, but you've only got 3 down defensive linemen. So you have Chris Jones acting as a defensive end, like a 3-4 defensive end. You have a nose tackle, and then you have another defensive end right here. And that's Chris Jones, Omar Norman Lott, and George Karlaftis. So this is essentially a 3-4 look at a defense, but it's different. It's 1-5 because you've got one guy back there, and the Chiefs still have 5 defensive backs. So they're in nickel, but they're not, right? They're using Leo Chanel as more of a pseudo defensive end, but then they shift. They bring Drew Tranquil back. As you see the Giants changing things up, they switch things up as well. This is the very first play of the game. So you can tell the Chiefs wanted to get after it early. You've got guys getting downhill very quickly. Like I said, the shifts and the motions up front, they really did a nice job of pairing things in the run game. And yes, I think the Giants had success running the football. But like I said, the reason why this was a very emblematic performance of Steve Spagnuolo is because he knew that all he had to do was get a couple of stops, right? All he had to do was get a couple of stops. So they're running a little bit of outside zone here. They're going to break this up on the left-hand side, and they create one-on-ones. When they bring all of this down, there's no ability for guys to get second double teams, and there's no ability for them to create vertical push or lateral push. You got bodies everywhere, right? You got a one-on-one here, you got a one-on-one here, one-on-one here, just across the board, it's one-on-one. And then you see the backside pursuit from Leo Chanel right here, who's doing a nice job cutting across the face of Theo Johnson, number 84. And then Omar Norman Lott is going to do the work here again, flash to the outside, and then come back around when Tracy gets there. So we've seen past 2 weeks now some big performances in small portions from Omar Norman Lott. He's getting better and he's getting better. I still wish that they wouldn't have asked him to put on so much weight, but at the end of the day, we're going to see another one right here where he's just doing a nice job of getting in the backfield. They're running outside, excuse me, not getting in the backfield, but eyes in the backfield is what I meant to say. Again, he's more of a one tech right here in between that tackle, excuse me, the guard in the center. So you got him as that one tech, Chris Jones out there with GK, and then it's just one-on-one. Can I beat my man? So he gets good push here. Push backfield, you got eyes right here and here. He's going to see where the running back goes. Where is that decision going to be made? And then again, he flashes outside, and you've got Nick Bolton coming through to clean up the play. When the defense is flowing properly, when things are working the way they're supposed to, the run defense is actually really good. I had some criticism early on in the season for the Chiefs against the Chargers, specifically because of the talent of quarterback they were going up against and the play action concepts. When you do trigger downhill like this a lot against the run game, you leave yourself open to play action pass from better quarterbacks, and typically, again, with the ability to replace throws or replace guys here, if they're running an RPO set here, you can get some of that, but it's not as dynamic for the New York Giants. Russell Wilson's not going to give you a ton of the handoff fakes, right, where he's able to run quarterback option, read option, things like that. It's not really having to worry so much, even though Karlaftis does a really nice job of still maintaining that outside pursuit, being very responsible in his assignments, staying outside there just in case Russell Wilson does take that, as we've seen from time to time. He used to be able to do that, but again, just being sound in your run assignments leads to success, even if you're getting a couple here, a couple of there. They had a couple of big runs too. They were explosive with Cam Scadaboo. He had 60 rushing yards on 10 carries, but 46 of those were after contact. So he was able to do a ton of after contact work, which is what he is. But overall, from a run defense standpoint, they got a couple of negatives. They put the Giants into situations they didn't want to be in. And at the end of the day, this is a really nice job from Chamari Connor filling space. The Giants are coming out in this full house set, and they're going to use eyes. They're going to try to fool the eyes of secondary players and, not secondary players, second level players. They want to fool the eyes of the linebackers, and then they want everyone to kind of move this way, right? They want everyone to come downhill. But Chamari Connor does a really nice job of reading the offensive line, who is still going to be out here in this direction this way. They're coming out here, which moves to the left. He's able to fill properly his alley. And then they run basically just another outside zone fit where he's running outside the tackle or off that inside hip of the tackle and trying to make it happen. They do a really nice job of holding it up there, creating some of those negatives, right? Anytime you get a run stop, whether it's 1 yard, 0 yards, -1 yard, even 2 yards, for example, is a good play for the defense. So when you're trying to mess with eyes, you have to stay disciplined, right? So you get a nice job here from both the linebackers because you still have to be respectful. So Nick Bolton does a nice job, but you got Ice here in the backfield, but he's also maintaining that cutback lane, right? Tranquil is going to stay just enough out here, right? So you can't cut back and get me out here. And that's where the working together comes through. Outside leverage here from George Karlaftis, and then fill lane from Chamari Connor, who again is not playing as much pure in the slot as we saw him in week 1. They're starting to funnel him more from a pure 2-high safety shell. And Trent McDuffie playing 17 snaps in the slot last week against the Giants. We also saw Noah Williams starting to play more on the outside. So things are starting to round into formation for what the Chiefs want to. Maybe it had to happen faster than Steve Spagnuolo wanted, but this is what has to happen. Now, the Chiefs played 2-high defense. For those of you that don't know, that are learning, 2-high is very exactly how it sounds. You've got 2 safeties back here. The Chiefs utilized a split safety coverage shell on 30 of 38 dropbacks, which is nearly 79% of the time and when they beat the Giants on Sunday. It's the highest rate by any team in a game this season. Do you think that they had an idea of what Russell Wilson was going to do? But it was also their 3rd highest split safety rate with Steve Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator. This is from Next Gen Stats. When they were using those split high safety shells, the Chiefs also allowed 13 completions on 24 attempts for 133 yards and an interception, 12 pressures, 40% of the time. So they were able to do a lot from this 2-high, and they're going to actually rotate down to play more of a cover 3 shell with a match lock on the bottom right here. But this is getting after what they wanted to do with Malik Neighbors. So Malik Neighbors is actually at the top of your screen here in this bunch set, who's running just a curl route here, but you're going to see the bodies the Chiefs are going to send at him. So here they're actually rotating down, but he's got eyes on through Malik Neighbors to the backfield. And obviously with the eyes from Russell Wilson not there, but I'm just trying to showcase what they wanted to do with Malik Neighbors and send bodies at him in different ways and create problems specifically here. So again, you're going through Malik Neighbors as Brian Cook to the linebacker or to the tight end or to the running back. Either one. Boom. So he goes outside. This is something that the Chiefs have seen the Bills do a lot, where they bring the tight end out here to block, and then they run a little flare out to the running back on the outside. So they did a nice job of funneling those properly. Every time they saw it, they did a nice job of going through Malik Neighbors, but you also have Nick Bolton here flashing close to Malik, right? Everyone's kind of doing what they're supposed to and compressing space around him. And that's how they dealt with Malik Neighbors. Now, they were okay allowing plays like this. And what I meant earlier by a zone match is that you've got zone coverage here rotating down. But for a one-on-one out here, basically, this is man. You are 100% in man coverage. That man is yours because you're going to have Chamari Connor back out of there, and that space is yours. So they allowed a couple of these plays inside, underneath. Right, it's still a good job from Jalen Watson to recover, make sure it's not a big explosive play. It's just more of a first down coverage. So, and again, getting after Malik Neighbors now, he rotates, motions out underneath here, and they just do a really nice job of getting to him. I mean, Russell Wilson doesn't throw for 400 plus yards because he has a bad deep ball. That deep ball is still there. But what I want you to see here is they're going to try to mess with the assignments. They're going to bump Neighbors out to the number one position, right? So he's just running deep down the field, running that just deep all the way down. One thing you're going to see here is Chamari Connor is backing out. This is CRW also backing out. They're going to have this run a deep over route. This slot receiver now becomes that number two, and he's running this deep over. So pretty much just to the middle of the field, diagonal, you're going to keep going, try and cover that safety. So Chamari Connor takes enough space here, right? Rotates out, keeps that outside leverage. So I need to keep this leverage here. I know Connor is reading what comes across here as more of a max protect option here from the New York Giants. They have a running back coming out of the backfield here, but they also tried to block Jalen Watson, who comes on a blitz with a tight end. So really nice job, eyes. I want you to see right here, just real quick, eyes here. And this is where Chamari Connor, it takes a half second too long for him to do this, but he does get back around. He needs to pass that off a little bit quicker. He gets his head around and goes to condense space while Trent McDuffie is underneath that route. And look how far down the field Nick Bolton is in coverage, right? This is like true Tampa 2, right? Where you have that linebacker has to go all the way down the field because they want to. So this is just really good Tampa 2 coverage from the Chiefs. And then Jalen Watson comes around with a nice dip underneath the tight end to make a play. Just make a play on the football. So whenever you're doing this, right, you're trying to make things happen for yourself. The Chiefs were able to do that and make things happen for themselves in this football game multiple times with how they treated Malik Neighbors and how they did that. And whenever you're doing something for yourself, you have to have a plan, right? When you're going into the betting market, guys, you have to have that plan. So here is a word from our newest sponsor, ProphetX.
ProphetX, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You will almost always get the best price on any spread, money line, total, or player prop since you're playing against other people rather than the book. ProphetX offers dual currency system, either Profit Points or Profit Cash, and operates across 40 states. Use the promo code RGR and claim up to $200 in Profit Cash on all plays for the first 30 days playing on the site. ProphetX gives you the best lines in the space, and you can even set your own odds on specific wagers on your players, all at ProphetX. Go there and use the code RGR. Terms and conditions apply.
We appreciate ProphetX very much for joining us along this ride. And hopefully you guys go use that code, check out what they're doing over there. But right now, let's check out how the Chiefs were able to create some turnovers. Yes, a couple of bad throws, decisions from Russell Wilson, but you're always counting on that. Now, CRW gets the benefit of the doubt here with that too high safety shell. We see this is a completely different look for the Chiefs. You got Chamari Connor over here with CRW. These are two different safety looks, and that's one of the things that I really appreciated about that. You've got, Jaden Hicks down here under as more of that pseudo linebacker role, and they're going to actually use better players to rotate those safeties out and more of an understanding of what Chamari Connor can be as a too high safety player. You see, he's got eyes downhill. He wants to always get downhill, but this is just a really smart play from CRW. Now the Giants come out here and they want to attack down the field. You've got this receiver out here is just going to run this deep out route. And then this is where the magic happens. They bump down Wan'Dale Robinson, who's going to run that deep over route that Russell Wilson eventually gets to. But underneath here, this is the shallow crosser. This is the player that actually gets open underneath and where the ball should have gone. Then with both of these players in the backfield, they are going to chip and release. So you've got a little chip to the flat and then get to the flat. So in actuality, it's a 3-receiver set where they run 3 routes, but you have chip help just in case, and those plays take a little bit longer. And when they dealt with Malik Neighbors, right, what they're dealing with here is they got eyes, right? Look at the eyes. And then depth, right? Jaden Hicks is getting his depth. You've got eyes from Noah Williams. You got eyes down here from Chamari Connor. And initially, that's where Russell Wilson looks after peeking on the backside first. or the front side, excuse me. There's not much pressure here. No big deal. He's fine in the pocket, but he takes a peek play side first, but understands that there's space to that left side. So right now, first thing he looks at is middle of the field. Eyes are in the middle. Let's just kind of slow that down here. Eyes are here. So he wants to see where this safety is going to end up going. As we know, CRW is still out here. This is a 2 receiver set, so he's got to maintain that leverage. But this is where the play actually breaks. Trent McDuffie's in the slot here, but he closes the space. He's closing space underneath, so there's not much room there. And this is where CRW does a really great job, because Russell Wilson, his eyes don't pick up. His eyes don't pick up CRW on the backside. He sees space, right? He sees the eyes from the Chiefs players that are here in the depth here, and then he sees this underneath player. So CRW does a really great job of covering that space. This is probably where the ball should have gone out here to allow Wan'Dale Robinson to cut this route off underneath with the space. But because he throws it out a little bit too far, now Wan'Dale Robinson has to adjust his route a little bit further downfield. And since there's so much air under it, that's where CRW comes around. He makes the play. The first game he starts playing more, man, he finds the football. That's what I love about CRW and really this entire situation here. So let's go really back really quickly just so we can see the eyes, right? So there's the motion. Eyes, check the safety first. So he sees it's 2 split. And with Jamar Conner kind of coming downhill and outside leverage, you are giving Russell Wilson the idea that you're going to be able to have space to his left, right? This ball it sails. It's thrown too far out downfield. And then this is just, again, great tracking, great understanding of where you are on the field from CRW, and then how they dealt with Malik Neighbors kind of created this because of the eyes on him initially, right? You've got 3 players kind of in that triangle around Malik Neighbors. Russell Wilson thinks that he's got space. He thinks he has space downfield. And then we get the interception from CRW. Things that the Chiefs needed to happen through 2 games, no turnovers. They win the turnover battle very decidedly here. And then they get another one. This is textbook coverage from Jalen Watson. I'm eating my words right now about Jalen Watson, by the way, guys. He's playing fantastic football right now. Still up and down for the most part, but he looks way better than he did in week 1, which you love to see, especially when you get another player that goes down, somebody that you brought in the offseason in Christian Fulton, hoping he can come back, maybe give you some rotational value there. But honestly, with the emergence of Noah Williams, I think that we'll see what happens there. But this is a deep concept from, he just go out, release outside, go. And then you've got three receivers to the right-hand side. You got a little whip route here from the slot, and then the reduced split. Wan'Dale Robinson, once again, is the over coverage player. This is where the Chiefs did the same thing. They kind of overcorrected a little bit, but sometimes you have to play differently. And then they overcorrected on the deep crosser here. 3 guys, because of the way that the play is designed, end up going with Wan'Dale Robinson. You could pretty much have man coverage everywhere else here. Good job from Brian Cook, who is playing pretty good football, very good football, I would say, for his. Granted, he was able to come back from that injury on Sunday night as well. And the Chiefs actually rush 6 players here. The Giants pick it up perfectly, but this is picture perfect coverage. He maintains that contact with Malik Neighbors, right? He doesn't just allow a free release. So he hesitates at the top of his stem, right? While still widening, playing Jalen Watson to see what he's going to do. And right here, he releases with him. He clicks his hips out underneath. And then you see that outside hand, he's going to use it. And then once he realizes he is stride for stride with Malik Neighbors, this is where this typically doesn't happen for the Chiefs players. We don't see them get their head around very often. And this is, again, picture perfect identification, because the ball's not even in the air yet, but he's looking for it. He knows it's coming eventually. With the space limited in the red zone area from the route, he knows the ball has to come out, especially because the Chiefs are blitzing. So that's understanding. We are blitzing. This ball is going to be coming out. And if I don't get my head around, it's not going to happen. So this is just a really nice job. And again, before the snap, we get to see Russell Wilson checks out. Everyone kind of understands, all right, he's going to move the running back to the right-hand side. Then they are going to shift 3. So all these 3 guys shift to their right. And the Chiefs blitz right there. So you have that shift, and then you got 3-3. Block, 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 block. And then they have Leo Chanel, again, coming out. Nick Bolton blitzing. And then Tranquil is going to come around loop here. So again, they pick up the blitz actually very well. Russell Wilson moves outside to his left. Then he has to throw back to his right. And again, the ball hangs up there. And Jalen Watson is in perfect position to make this play. So whenever, even if you don't do everything right, you don't get the blitz exactly the way you want it to, you have to allow the players to execute it. And I think that they did a great job of doing exactly that. And then on top of the 2 turnovers, the Chiefs finally were able to capitalize on some pressures. You know, they created 12 pressures in the 2 high shells that we saw. But Chris Jones, I don't think he was having the greatest start to the season. He was much more involved from a pressure run defense standpoint, winning percentage. And then this again goes right back to what we talked about in condensing space. You got cover 2 shell. The Giants are moving players around, right? They're going to have Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot who's motioning down here. And then they have a tight end here who's going to take the seam route. Take that seam route here. He's going to look like he's running, wants the ball down the seam. You've got Wan'Dale who's going to come out here and just run a little curl. And then Cam Scatterbo goes to the flat. So this ball is supposed to come out now. But Drew Tranquil eyes on that player. Once the ball's trying to come out from Russell Wilson here, he understands if I throw this football, there's a good chance it probably gets broken up, deflected into the air because Drew is driving on that player, and he's condensing space immediately. Once he broke into that route, it was over. Chris Jones wins quickly, and from there, it's over. Like, again, you see where Nick Bolton is on the field, right? This is legit Tampa 2. He's getting deep down the field with that seam route here, and he's condensing space. The Chiefs did a great job of condensing space on the intermediate to deep routes concepts from the New York Giants, because they knew if they forced Russell Wilson to be patient, right? We talked about how when we go back to the Malik Neighbors plan, right, where they wanted to isolate some players one-on-one, they were okay with that because Russell Wilson wasn't going to just come out here and find the open man every single time. He was going to get frustrated. He is a throw it deep or check it down kind of player. And if the deep option is not over there, or if his first option isn't over, he holds the football. That's exactly what happened here. And Chris Jones is the immediate benefit of that, able to wrap and close on the quarterback. The last one here from George Karlaftis, just a, I'm stronger than you, and I'm going to go right through you type of play. But again, condensing space. This is probably where the football should have gone to Malik Neighbors with Trent McDuffie off coverage here. They run front side, basically with 2 receivers on each side. Russell Wilson's going to check first. He's going to check the defense first, and he's going to go where his eyes are, right? So first things first, for a quarterback pre-snap identification, you've got close coverage here, you've got close coverage here, and my tight end isn't super fast, so I'm probably going to go with the slot receiver on the right side who has a cushion. So eyes are going to go right for Russell Wilson first, and he goes to the slot first. So eyes here, and there's no space there. This is where the space actually is, because Trent McDuffie shows that he's press coverage first, and then he comes off, creating some space there, but also forcing Russell Wilson to say, your first read is not going to be Malik Neighbors. It's going to be that slot, and we are going to close down on that quickly and then actually get after you, where George Karlaftis does a great job of pushing the pocket with that tackle, backup tackle, after they had Andrew Thomas on a more of a pitch count. But then you see Karlaftis able to, again, benefit from them forcing Russell Wilson to come off of that first read. And then by the time he does, it's over. So all in all, guys, like, this was a complete performance, I think, from multiple standpoints. Steve Spagnuolo had a great game plan. It is the New York Giants, but this gives you confidence in 2 performances back-to-back where the Chiefs did their jobs. They executed their game plan well. And so going into week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens at home, I think you can be confident in at least them playing at a high level and executing to this point where, again, Chris Jones gets a sack, George Karlaftis gets a sack. We see Omar Norman-Lott having more impact. Noah Williams is playing very good football, I think, even without the penalties here and there. But this shows you that sometimes you have to be able to get after the quarterback and deal with some of those situations. So I'm excited to see what they do. And please, if you guys are new to the channel, hit that sub button, become a member here at Rogue Nation. I'm Daniel Harms. We'll have more content for you guys wrapping into the next game against the Baltimore Ravens. Don't forget Gary's video on Thursday. We will have the game plan for you on Friday. And as always, guys, have a great week.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more.
and subscribe to RGR Football.